Hello, welcome. You're very welcome to another round of EML on a Wednesday night. What else could you ask for? We are back with round number 4 taking place tonight at the Circuit de Paul Ricard. Plenty to catch you up on and update you on, but to starters, my name is Graham, and joining me today, as always, it is Storm Kings. How you getting on?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And welcome to round number 4 of EML in Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix. And it is looking quite overcast, so maybe some rain on its way in qualifying or the race.
Yeah, very possibly, although plenty of time between now and then to see how that unfolds. We've got a full lineup this week, or this month rather, so that's great to see. We've had a couple of events that haven't quite had the full 20 drivers, so it's great to see that immediately off the bat, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we like to see full lobbies, and it's nice to see that ECOS have made an appearance after giving everyone, it seems like, a 3-round head start.
Well, shots fired off the bat.
Yeah.
We'll catch up very quickly on the events of Baku. It was a very hectic race, and to no surprise, there was plenty to sort out in the stewards' office afterwards. But it was a race that was eventually won by Felix 1 ahead of Mr. Pop, then in second for TRT, and Felix 1, of course, racing for NLR, and TTG CR7 in third place for the TTG Racing team. Perhaps you'd like to take us through the after the dust of that has finally been settled. Perhaps you'd like to take us through the standings after round 3.
Yeah. Oh, apologies there. So the standings for EML League 2 after round 3 in Baku, Azerbaijan. Leading the way on 85 points is TTG Racing Team. And then in second place with 81 points, 4 points behind, is Esports Wales TAN. Then in third place on 75 points is Neverlast Racing. In fourth on 69 points is OWR Esports. Closely behind in fifth is TRT Academy on 67 points. Then in sixth is QVR Academy on 47. Then in seventh we've got Norway Scuderia Esports on 43. Then in eighth we've got BNL Racing Esports with 24 points. In ninth we've got CPI Academy on 23. And then in 10th in the final position is COS Esports on -20.
So ground to make up for COS Esports there.
Yeah.
But it's tight at the top still. 10 points separating the top 3, and OWR not too far behind that, and even TRT close to the action as well. It just shows you one strong week, and this championship could be blown wide open.
Yeah, definitely, of course. And I think if anything can go by Baku with the amount of safety cars we saw and the very late safety car that we saw, I wonder if we will see any safety cars here tonight. Hopefully not, but yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. As some people do say, France, the track, should I say, is a boring track, but it can still offer some great racing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we'll see plenty of that tonight as well. I'll take you through the lineup as they were submitted earlier prior to the event. I'm already seeing 1 or 2 names that aren't here that are on this list, but we'll try and we'll do our best regardless. Apologies if I butcher any of these pronunciations. Names are hard. All right.
I found that one.
Names are hard. So for Team TTG, we've got TTG Krishki, I think is how you say it, and TTG Slash. But again, apology, I'm reading off the graphic that was provided, so I'm sure we'll figure which ones are not actually on track here, but alas, we'll take you through. For OWR, it is Atlascopo, and someone wrote down this graphic, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but yes, very, very topical, as QVR Packer goes quickest with a 28.9, and very close to behind him is Slash, just 200s behind him, with 28.9, as well as Pariah then goes third, just slips into the 29s, just with a 29.999. For QVR, we've got QVR Brad and QVR Packer. For BNLR it's BNLRE Dennis and BNLRE Luke, excuse me. If that is incorrect, again, feel free to correct me in the comments. That is a-okay. For NSR, we've got NSR Pariah and NSR Ray Meter. ESW have submitted Colin Mason and Hooky 66. Ecos Saucy and Ecos Ference for COS Esports. For TRT, sorry, not TRT. Apologies. We've got Therapaz and Felix. So apologies if that isn't the pronunciation, but that is for NLR. And then we've got CPI, Reds, and Hecht. And then for the round-off for TRT is Mr. Pop and Smalley, at least on the graphic that was provided. So apologies. Look, with this competition, there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving parts. So apologies if it isn't 100% correct, but we do our best.
Yeah, and just to spice up the race at the moment, in the race, the first 10 minutes of the race will be in wet conditions. The track will be wet, so some of these times maybe a little bit off from the drivers, as they may be using a wet setup in case the rain doesn't dry out quick enough later on in that race.
Never a guarantee, is it, with the weather here? You never quite know. I've had races where it's rained all race and never moved to intermediate tires, so it can be, you're really not sure what to expect. But if it is a wet start, then one thing you can assume straight away is that everyone will be trying to qualify on the soft compound tire, as there'll be no real benefit to qualifying on any mediums, for example.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It will be straight for the softs. I don't think you'll see anybody go for the mediums and the hards in this qualifying session. It'll be interesting to see how people do in the wet, because we have seen Felix 1 up there in the top 3 on the dry side of the track. So it'll be interesting and get a taste of what the drivers can do under what will be wet conditions at the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mr. Pop then pops in a 28.6, goes comfortably clear at the top for the time being. I guess this would be a good way to really separate, I guess, well, maybe not totally, but because some people would want to try maybe a look on the medium, because there's always a few, especially in a 20 driver lobby, always one or two would like to try and try at least their luck on the harder compound tyre. But with that out of the question, as Ecos Ference then has popped in a 28.7, with that out of the question, then I guess we'll get to see, I guess, a hint of, I guess, the true pace of some drivers in qualifying off the bat.
Yeah, and I think the drivers may opt into doing multiple runs on these softs because they know that they may not be needed in the race. So they think, well, use up the qualifying session as much as possible, learn the track as much as possible, see where I can extend without corner cutting, because I know this track you can get penalised, even though there is a lot of runoff areas. But there's also a lot of overtaking areas, which is the main one down that straight, open with the DRS, and I think a lot of overtakes will be done there this evening.
Absolutely. As much as the real life race can struggle for overtaking action, usually in esports, not so much a problem at times. It's going to go more with Hecht as he goes through flying, because most people are either in the pits or on outlap, so we'll go on board with Hecht as he goes through sector 1. Want to try and stick as tight as you can. Again, track limits can be a bit of an issue here, so important as he pops in a purple sector 1 with a 22.3. Very nice and clean so far from Hecht as he winds down onto what is going to be likely the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. Heading down towards, that's turn number 8 and 9, the chicane. And if you can't get it done here, as he invalidates the lap, and that's the fine margin you were talking about, just straight ever so slightly over those curbs, and a good lap sadly has already gone a begging.
Yeah. Oh, I do apologise. Yeah, I think with this track is especially that end of that straight. If you brake too late, you can compromise yourself coming out and into that next corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's what I was going to say before Hecht invalidated his lap as a bit of a unintentional toe there from from Atlascopo on. Oh, sorry, very intentional toe. Sorry, there's OWR got him on board with his teammate Atlascopo, giving a bit of a toe heading down that straight. You don't see too much towing action around here, but you can see obviously the benefit of it. If you can't get the overtake done down the first DRS straight, then this second one heading towards turn number 10, the very fast scene corner, definitely another place you can get done, but always a hint of caution because you've seen cars run side by side through that high speed section and have it end pretty poorly.
Yeah, I think I do apologise. I haven't got a cold or anything. Well, I hope not. Yeah, I think with this track you can go side by side, but it's very risky, especially that final corner, because if you go off the track, you can then get a corner cutting pen. So it is kind of that track where you don't want to really be in a defending spot.
If you're it's certainly it's OWR Atlascopo is out of the session. Where has he done that at? That looks like the main straight. Let's see if I can find a car that's close. He's on board with Ray Meter, and he's lost it very far down that out of coming in the final corner there. So I don't know if he lost it on traction or if there's another car close to him, but certainly an unusual place, you'd have to say, for a retirement, even in qualifying.
Yeah, it is, and yeah, there's not many places you can retire really on this track if you did have an incident, because there's so much runoff area, which, you know, kind of a lot more runoff than there is in Baku. So I don't think you'll be seeing that many safety cars, or even a safety car. We may see the odd VSC, but I don't think you'll be seeing many safety cars. But turn 1 can be quite interesting on lap 1 because of maybe cold intermediate tyres. That could be quite spicy going into turn 1, whoever is on the front row.
Absolutely, and obviously the nature of those corners as well, it can be quite steep, so to speak. So running side by side, it's very easy to get the front of your car locked to another car's rear, and you'll see that in a couple of places in this track as well. That last corner, like you mentioned, is another one of those as well. I was actually just looking at BNLR Dennis there, and he kind of lost control of the car, but like you were saying earlier, like there's so much runoff that you're able to recover it in a way that there's so much space that in runoff that you have the time to recover it, where there's not a barrier immediately waiting for you. So this track, the high speed stuff, especially go through, if you lose it through turn 2 here, as he has done, as he loses the back end, and through turn 2 Dennis spins round, but again, no walls in any way, shape or form. Your only real danger is if you are unlucky enough to get collected by another car, say, in the race. So I guess that is the biggest threat, I would say, to the drivers. I guess is their own racecraft potentially as a means to possibly lose it tonight.
Yeah, and I think also you've got to look at the first 2 corners. It's very tricky, and I think Dennis just proved it there. If you get the wrong exit out of turn 1, you can then extend that track, well, the corner, should I say, on the limit, and you can get a corner cut-in warning. But also, if you do get both of them wrong, then you are going to end up in a spin, which happened to BNLR Dennis, should I say.
He cost Ference 28.5, so setting the strong pace early on. As well as that, like, you also got some of the curves on the inside and outside there as well that can upset the car as well. So yeah, be interesting how, especially side by side, I think we might see a few people trip up over each other on that particular part of the track.
Yeah, and it is getting quite hot and spicy up at the top of the lap times at the moment. Drivers are going full at it for qualifying session, because on the mediums, I am going to throw this question to you, Graham. On the mediums, would you want a pole position on the intermediates, or would you kind of want to sit at the back because of the nature of turn 1?
You got to balance track position as well. That's a tough one. I would try and take track position if I could. The farther up you are, look at a 20 driver grid. If you're caught in the middle or a P14 or 15, if your gambit fails, then you are in a rock and a hard place. You're in the pack. It's very congested on that first lap, and you might struggle to really get through the field, because I imagine we'll see a number of DRS trains as well today. And it can be very difficult to move in those, especially with two long straights, and the person in front of you is getting that straight line benefit. So I would try and take the track position rather have yes, a few cars in front of you, but the majority of the field behind you, if possible. Myself personally.
Yeah, and I think also you might want to be on the right side of the track, because then if there is any incidents in front, you can just kind of carry straight on, and what the normal F1 drivers do if they do go off the track, through that safety and rejoin the track safely and not cause any more incidents. But yeah, I think turn 1 could cause a few incidents, especially once DRS is enabled. It won't be for the first few laps if we are going to be under the wet conditions, so that's going to play a crucial factor, because the drivers won't have the DRS. They're going to have to rely on their pace and ERS, and they're going to have to manage that with the tricky weather conditions as well.
I think if you were to choose a side of the track to go through turn 1 and 2, I think probably the left-hand side, the inside line, might be your better option, because not only will you have the inside for turn 1, you're also on the outside for 2, and you may be susceptible to an inside attack. But I think on the outside you've got a better chance, I think, to avoid some of that carnage on the inside of 2. So it'll be interesting to see the different approaches from drivers as they negotiate the minefield that will be turns 1 and 2. Oh, there's a spin there. I just looked on Felix 1's camera, and I saw some other car just spinning out in front of him. But Felix looks like he's on a lap. We are ticking down to the final ashes of qualifying. Oh, big tank slapper, and that's exactly how Atlas Copa would have retired the cars. It's exactly the same way as Felix 1 just had his incident, and with only a minute to go, he's not going to improve any further than P9 in this session.
Yeah, and it is now coming to that final moment, minute should I say. We can't really see it because on my screen, I don't know if you've got it, it's just randomly throwing up sector, like, it's, we can't even see the timer. And also, with a full 20 lobby, track position on a qualifying session is absolutely horrendous. It's, like the real life F1, you are fighting for that track position. In F1, they say it's a gentleman's agreement. I don't think you're going to get that here tonight. Drivers will want the best position possible, and they will want it at, not at any time, but they will want it at the most important times when it is coming down to their final runs.
I'm looking at Smalley here on the map, and there's Mr. Pop in front of him, there's Slash, and they're all trying to position themselves. It's a bit of a mess, and you've got cars going behind that might be on laps. I think one of the LSRs, I think it must be Pariah trying. He's on a flying lap catching these guys. There's only there's 5 seconds left. So actually, is Smalley and Mr. Pop? One of them is not going to get off the line. No, that's it. Smalley hasn't made it.
Yeah, and that's not going to help. Which would be Mr. Pop. TTG Chris has put himself up to P2 at the moment, but everybody is on a flying lap except from a few drivers who didn't make the line because of that mega traffic jam that was at the end of the track. So it is going to be an open qualifying end here, as multiple drivers are on their flying lap, and that's Packer in P4. He's now out, so he has retired, I think, in the pit, so his lap is going to stay and keep him P4 at the moment. Anyone below him can set a faster lap, and we'll have to wait and see who sets the fastest lap.
Ecos Saucy about to come and finish his lap. A lot of sloppiness going on, people spinning, people going into the pits. There's a few drivers on track still, of course. Saucy, though, will be our proper first one to come across the line. He moves into the top 10, 9th place for Ecos Saucy. Repaz coming across the line next. He's in 8th place. Can he improve? He goes up to 4th. So second row for him. Dennis is coming across the line next for BNLR. And he stays in 12th place. Where is... apparently Mr. Pop was finished his lap, but I don't think that is the case. And 28.6, he stays in 3rd position. TTG Krishki is in. Ecos Ferenc is in. And is there anyone completing a flying lap? I think that's it. A very messy end to qualifying, where not a ton of improvements were really had. A lot of mistakes were made, but it is Ecos Ferenc on pole position with that 28.5.
Yeah, and I think that will be Ecos's first pole position in the event. I obviously was only here from round number 2, which was Spain, and I know they didn't take that one, and I know they didn't take last month's Baku one. So yeah, a first pole position for the Ecos driver and for Ecos Esports. So maybe points is on the cards tonight, and maybe they can get rid of that -20 deficit they have and work their way up the grid in the remaining rounds. As I'll hand you over to Graham for the qualifying results.
Yep, so it is Ecos Ferenc on pole position by just under 400ths of a second, ahead of TTG Krishki, then in second, Mr. Pop, then in third, Reapa's improving. One of the few improvements that were had in that final flurry. He moves up to 4th place ahead of QVR Packer in 5th. Smalley then in 6th place, didn't get a chance to set his final lap time after running out of time. The track position jostling, space jostling, did not work out in his favour. QVR Brad then in 7th ahead of TTG Slash in 8th. Ecos Saucy then, he improved to 9th place. Pariah then round at the top 10. And behind him, Felix 1 has a lot of work to do from P11, but I'm sure he can get himself up through the field as the session progresses, the race progresses. BNLR Dennis then in 12th, Colin Mason 13th, Reds 14th, OWR Gotte in 15th. Again, apologies if any of these names are incorrectly pronounced. You can feel free to give me a guide how to do it. NSR Ray Meter 16th, Hecht in 17th, BNLR Luke in 18th, Atlas Scopo 19th, and Hooky then rounds out the grid in 20th position. So looking quite good then, I would say, for TTG, 2 cars inside the top 10. Mr. Pop and Smalley then, for their team, they are in the top 10 as well, and even top 6 there, they're looking in a good spot, as well as QVR, you'd have to say as well.
Yeah, and just to get a more update on the weather, we are expecting rain at the start of the race and at the end of the race, so going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, as always, the weather will be one to watch. If we can actually get to the race itself.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm stuck on the race director.
Yeah, I get a great look at this qualifying session. I mean,
fantastic
grid.
session.
But yeah, it would be nice to mosey along. However, in the meantime, who else is looking in a good spot? Obviously, Ferenc from pole is in a nice spot, and obviously his teammates down in 9th as well. So that's a good session for Ecos as well.
Yeah, I think also QVR could be in a quite good spot. They're P6, P5 and P7. TRT could be in a good spot. They're P3 and P6. TTG as well, they're P2 and P8. So at least 3 or 4 teams up there that, could be fighting and battling. So yeah, it's going to be interesting when we actually finally get there. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the drivers are a little concerned as well. I believe I wouldn't be surprised if we were to see a restart. I believe on their side, it's Mr. Pop that isn't loading.
Yeah, I think he's got a Wi-Fi issue. We've never had. I know he raced in Baku because he won it, didn't he, on the game? But it was classified to Felix. Did he win Spain? No, he didn't. Did he? It's 2 months ago. I'm trying to remember now.
Winner in Spain was Felix. Mr. Pop finished 3rd.
Yeah, I think they are going to restart because Mr. Pop's game has got stuck.
I think they're calling on him to restart. We'll we're yet to have any confirmation if there is an actual full lobby restart.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. I was just looking at the lineup submission as well. Oh, hello. There we go. So he left the session and he'll be able to rejoin in honestly on the formation lap and assume his position. And as mentioned, as alluded to, the weather is indeed wet. Light rain to start. And we'll see how quickly it shifts to dry conditions. A safety car would obviously play a big part into a more predominantly dry race.
Yeah, and I think with the wet weather, it does spice it up. It gives us a more interesting race from a wet to dry, back to wet track. So a lot of interesting strategies may come into play. Like during the dries, do you go for a medium or do you go for hard? Because in the hard,
are you there? I think I lost you. Well, I think Storm disappeared somewhere. I think he was about to talk about going on. Oh, there you are.
sorry, the controller disconnected. That's a Storm moment right there. I forgot that my controller was gonna die. But yeah, as I was saying, I think with the wet to dry and then back to wet, well, potentially light rain, it does throw up the question of, well, what strategy do you go for? Do you go an intermediate tyre, obviously, which all the drivers will start on, and then do you go for a medium or do you go for a hard? Because in with the hard tyres, they may be able to last a little bit into the track getting a little bit wet. They may be able to have still some grip, but not a lot, and obviously they do last the longest. So yeah, I don't know what the strategy is. Obviously I only know really for the dry. I haven't really done too many races here with the wet, and it's nice to see all the lights around the track are lit up as well, so it's definitely going to be in for a very spicy but interesting race.
Yeah, strategy I don't think will become clear until we really know how quickly this weather and this rain not only stops but obviously then dries up. It does look very light at the moment, so it would not surprise me if and the skies are quite, you can see it's quite bright as well. It wouldn't surprise me if we were on dry soon, and I wonder if you might just see a regular strategy unfold as it would be if you were to start in the dry. It really is up in the air until we really know how quickly rain stops, if it intensifies or if it dries again.
Yeah, I know obviously tracks differ from drying up on the game. I know USA has a tendency to take forever to dry up on the track. I don't know about France, but I reckon the first 10 laps will be under the intermediates. I wouldn't say that it will take that long after that. After the first 10 laps, I reckon we may see the track just getting a little bit drier. And also, the driver's going to have to keep these tyres at a certain temperature and a working optimal temperature. So I'm going to hand you over to Graham for what will be the race start here in EML League 2 for round number 4 in France at Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix.
Long run down to turn 1 as well, so if you can get a good start in these conditions, you could make up a fair amount of ground, especially if you're close to the front. The back of the grid you'll be going to be boxed in somewhat, because as much as we talk about the very large off run, the start finish straight is quite compact. It's quite close. There won't be a ton of opportunity for manoeuvring. Mr. Pop hasn't been able to get back into his car as of yet, but hopefully he'll be able to soon go on board with TTG Krishki as we get 4 and 5 red lights. And away we go. It's a good start from Krishki. He's going to be right alongside. Ferentz heading down. I think Mr. Pop is pulling over to the side, his AI, but Krishki then has taken the lead already, heading into turn 1. Oh, Ferentz is going to try and fight back. And they get through unscathed. They've got through cleanly. Krishki takes the lead as the Reapers, and that's QVR Packer banging somewhat side by side as they head down towards the well, the first chicane, so to speak. But as Krishki ahead of Ecos Fed, ahead of the Reapers, and QVR packing and settling in behind Slash. Smalley going for a dive on Slash side by side as they unwind onto the Mistral straight for the first time. And that is Smalley through into P5. But at the front, Krishki's got ahead of Ference.
Yeah, fantastic start there for TTG, Chris. As it looked, oh, somebody's having a look. Maybe not, as Ference is going to tuck behind there. Just mention this corner here. If you get the entry wrong, then you are going to be in some, well, in a tricky situation because you can be attacked from behind because of the slipstream is so powerful coming out of that corner. And it looks like Ference isn't wanting to hang around. He's staying on the back here of TTG, Chris. As they come now to the final few corners to end what will be lap 1 here in EML League 2.
Yeah, good start for Team TTG. Smalley got the move done on Slash. I think he was caught napping somewhat. But Ference looks, now that he's settled down a little bit, he does look quite competitive here. We'll see how it's all about settling in and having a feel for the conditions. Some drivers might start off slow in these conditions, but will quickly get up to speed as we begin lap number 2. All fairly straightforward. See if Felix has stayed in 11th place. He's stuck behind BNLR, Dennis, and QVR, Brad. A couple of chopping and changing going on down the field. Colin Mason, Ray Meter, change of position there for P16. Hecht is into the pits. You just assume for damages. I can only assume, but at the front, still very, very close. Bit of a gap between BNNR Luke and Gotte then, OWR Gotte then in 13. But apart from that, it's all very, very close, as you would expect on lap 2.
Yeah, and looking down the grid, position changes. Hooky has gone up from the back of the grid up to P15 already. So he's looking to make a surge up that grid order for Esports Wales 10. They are in second place on the standings, so they need to get some positions done quite early on to get themselves up the order for some points to try and keep in with that battle for that top spot, which is being held by TTG Racing Team.
A big big moment there for Ference. He almost lost the back end coming on to the second part of that long back straight. It looks like he's got some decent straight line speed. If he committed more to his overtake, possibly he might have some luck if he gets a good run. Oh, and Odegaard Gotte is out of the session. Where has he? Oh, he's crashed. The VSC is deployed. He's crashed going through the infield section. Let me see what part of the track that is. That is the turns 12 and 13. I think it's more so turn. I have turn 11, turn 12, and he is out of the session. And we got Felix into the box on lap number 2. And lap 3 was the strategy here. See, we'll stay on board with them. See if it's for a change of wing. Someone else coming into the pits as well. That's Colin Mason. Oh, is that medium compound tires? That is a bold one from Felix. He's gone into the dry tires. New nose for Colin Mason, but dry tires for Felix. I think he may have gone a little soon on that.
Yeah, just an update which I have received. Mr. Pop is actually ahead of Hecht. The lobby is showing the incorrect leaderboard. Mr. Pop is ahead of Hecht, so that is incorrect.
Okay, good to know. That'll make some sense later on, I'm sure. But he did manage to get back into his car, Mr. Pop. So certainly he is down the field from his starting position at P3, which is unfortunate. But we'll just have to carry on. The power to start the lobby is not in our hands. So we're underway racing once again. As top 3 seem to have, QVR Packer has been he's lost a bit of ground, 1.3 seconds behind, so he's out of this little battle here for the lead for the time being, as Slash and Smalley getting very, very close together as they wind around the long turn number 11. Still at the front. Yeah. Ooh, very close there. Ference was again a little dicey on that throttle, hasn't he? Might be Might be something to monitor in these conditions. Could certainly very easy to light it up in these conditions.
Yeah, and I'm just riding on board with Felix One, who is on the mediums. He is struggling for grip. He is literally understeer central. I don't know why he's gone on the mediums. Yeah, he is struggling. Very massive understeer.
Yeah, he's bleeding seconds here. I don't know. It's maybe he thought perhaps worth a gamble to go on to mediums in 11th or so, but unless he's made a mistake or misinformed, yeah, it does seem to be a bit of a strange one, because it is still raining on track. But long race, the safety car would certainly help him out later on if we were to see one.
Yeah, maybe he is thinking long term. That rain will stop for, I believe, a brief moment. I know sometimes the game does have its moments, and maybe he may have selected intermediates and it has chucked on the mediums, but obviously we won't know that until the end of the race. But he is dropping quite quickly. DRS is enabled, so maybe has Felix pulled off an absolute blinding masterclass here, because DRS is now enabled.
The time he's gaining over Atlascope, you can see the delta in the bottom left. It's very, very marginal. A 10th or 100th here or there. It does seem to be. Oh, and Ference has lost it. Throttle has gone. I think the Reapers has gone with them. Not sure. He got himself. Oh, he's got a penalty as well. Oh, his wings been collected by Ecos Saucy as well as the Reapers. He didn't actually spin as well, but he's now got wing damage as the flurry of activity into the pits. QVR Packer, I think, has actually continued on. So absolute flurry. Slash is carried on as well. Medium tyres going on to Smalley's car as well as TT Krishki's as well. So mediums seem to be the popular choice. Luke has gone on to the hard compound tyre.
Yeah, and the Reaper is stuck in the pits as well. Why is he not moving? Oh, he has now moved, and that may have lost him a few positions.
So out comes Krishki then in 5th place on medium. So rain has just now stopped. The DRS has been it'll be very slippy though in these conditions still, as the track continues to dry. Certainly can't go full throttle as Ference did. Coming out as he made his way into the box, rather, just before the box, he again we saw the back end threatening to light up on him multiple times, and just couldn't catch us on this occasion, and he is now very much down the field in 16th place.
Yeah, quite interesting. BNLR Luke, or if that's how you pronounce it, I do apologise, has opted for the soft compound tyre, so he's going for a bold strategy here. They won't last long. I don't know what's happening to. Oh, somebody has lost it, I think.
Yeah,
and that's
Raymeter
in the wall. Yeah, he's had a spin on the mediums. So 4 drivers opting to stay on the intermediates. They feel that the track isn't ready yet, and while the rest are on medium compound tyres, except from Reaper on the hards, it is a very split decision.
They're all coming in now. Slash wouldn't want to. Of course, you don't. Of course, just because you're it's the thing is, some of these guys, of course, just because you're on the same team doesn't mean you have the same box. So everyone has a different box, and perhaps some of these guys deciding that they didn't want to maybe lose the time stuck behind another driver in the pits. So there's no way of knowing this, of course, but they're all in now, and they're all on medium compound tyres. So the only person left on inters is Mr. Pop, who is languishing. Oh, of course, will be glitch, won't he? So he could be on dries for all we know.
Yeah, unfortunate there for TRT Academy, as Felix One sets the fastest lap here with a 1:39, and I think we're going to get quite used to seeing him up the top. It's actually quite nice to see him with a teammate this month, should I say, because in Baku his teammate couldn't get in the lobby, and in Spain his teammate DNF. So maybe this could be the race where NLR or Never Last Racing do get maximum points possible that they can get.
DRS now enabled, of course, and we've got Saucy on the back of BNLR and Dennis, and this should be a fairly straightforward move. Will he defend it is another question. Late on, little jink late on, but nothing doing for Saucy heading down towards turns 8 and 9. Slash just ahead of us. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Dennis. Will that compromise him? Overtake is being used by Saucy. doesn't quite have the legs, does he, to get this move done through turn 10 and turn 11, so you have to stay behind for the time being. That worked out. I won't say that worked out perfectly for Felix, because there's no time he definitely lost time on that first lap. There's no question about it. But that hasn't backfired as badly as it could have, given how early he went on those.
Yeah, it may come to bite him at the end of the race when, if it does start to rain again, as TTG Chris sets the fastest lap and Smalley goes even quicker with a 1:36.0. So the lap times are now rapidly coming down as we enter onto lap number 7 of 27. 20 laps to go.
35.7 for BNL Luke, but of course he is on softs, and that's quickly displaced by Ference, who we know has got pace, but now will have to try and come through the field himself after his spin just before the end of those intermediate conditions. That is a car off. I think there's Ray Meader who's struggling in these conditions. We've got Packer though in the DRS range of Smalley. This is for P2, 6/10. Is that enough to reel him in before the end of the straight? It's not going to be quite enough, but he's saving the ERS, I think, for a run with the ERS. Use the DRS down this first part of the back straight, and maybe the ERS down the second.
Yeah, and I think what I've seen over the 3 events that I have commentated here with League 2 in EML, consistency. If you're consistent, you're going to get the results, because people will make mistakes. These events are high pressured. You know, people want to win. They want to do the best for their respective teams. So people will make mistakes, and you can capitalise on, which Felix 1 has done so well in the other 2 events that EML has provided in Spain and Baku. So don't count him out just yet. He could still be on that podium at the end of the race.
Felix is only 10 seconds off the lead and 7 seconds off a podium, so not out of the question at all, with over 20 laps to go, including the one we're on, as Packer then sets fastest lap of the race. Some of these will be DRS assisted, of course, but track obviously getting drier and drier as looks like Dennis looks like he's pressuring the back of Slash. Maybe Slash has made a mistake somewhere, but he's 3.7 seconds or so behind Packer, who is all over the back of Smiley. I think we're going to be seeing some overtaking action very, very soon.
Yeah, and just looking at the grid as well, everybody is, you know, now catching up to the driver in front of them. And in the intermediate tyres, they may have not been able to do that because of the weather conditions. As I am on board with Saucy, I wonder if he is going to be able to catch Dennis. He is around about 5/10. It is closing. The second part here of the corner will tell us as Dennis exit that corner, and we'll just see if the ECOS driver can close the gap. But it looks like Dennis is closing the gap also to Slash, so maybe a 3-car DRS train is forming here between the 3 drivers, but we'll have to see at the end of this lap when DRS will be used if any of the drivers can overtake. But it is going to be a very close for that 4th place position.
Yeah, Slash struggling a bit more than I thought he might be. I thought perhaps his pace would come to the fore on the dries, and not helped, of course, by Packer having DRS on Smalley. That definitely won't help Slash's cause trying to hunt down the podium places, as he's getting very close to Smalley. Here he is, not quite close enough to make a move through turn 1, and dirty air through turn 2 as well. Won't help, but Felix actually got by Brad. I think Brad may have made a mistake coming out of turn 1, because Felix is quite considerable ways clear, but that's Felix up into 7th as he continues his recovery drive, and I reckon we're going to have a change of place here pretty soon for 2nd place. 4/10 of a second is going to be difficult for Smalley to be able to resist, and Packer's basically got full DRS available to him, ERS rather.
Yeah, as Packer is going to go around the outside of Smalley from TRT and gets the move done before the end of the corner there. But is Smalley going to get that position back as they come out the exit of the corner there? He's going to get that slipstream and toe. He's going to use a little bit of ERS, but yeah, that's Packer up to P2, and that's Ference with a 3-second time penalty.
We'll see if Packer can get out of DRS range. We got a little battle here for P9. Pariah holding off Luke. Of course, different compounded tyres at play here, so I wonder if Pariah might better think to fight this and just let him go rather than risk an incident or losing too much time fighting someone who's going to inevitably have to pit in the not too distant future.
Yeah, and there is a bit of a train forming behind Pariah. We have BNL, Luca, CPI, Reds, and the Reaper. Sector 3 yellow flags. That is, I believe, a Mr. Pop. It's very hard to tell because they're all in the multiplayer cars. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't see that sun is coming out, and yeah, they've all got DRS here, 4P9. So as Luca is going to go around the outside into turn 1, is he going to get the move done? He gets it done, and it looks like CPI Reds is having a look as well. All three parts of the track is showing their flags. CPI Reds has got past, which was against Raymead, and I just wonder if the Reaper is going to have a look at the DRS. Ference had a cheeky look there on the NLR driver. Ference, he had a bit of understeer there and has just lost a little bit of time to the Reaper, but Luca is going to have an attempt, I believe, at Reds, but the move... look at that from Luca. Obviously got the tyre advantage there and has got the move done. But all three sectors are showing their flags, so I don't know if these positions will be handed with penalties.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it for the time being. There's a lot of overtaking and cars flying side by side. Ecos Ference is going to try to go to outside of 2 of them through turns 10 and 11. He's got through 1, and Pariah... and Lucas lost it as he made contact with the barrier. There's contact between Ference. I think that may have been Pariah, I'm not 100% sure in that moment, but 2 cars flying off then. So we just have continual yellow flags, and Ference is out of this race. I wonder if that may bring out the safety car. Hard to say. At the front though, Smalley hasn't really fallen away from Packer, so he's still within that DRS. So they are catching TTG Krishki at the front though. That gap was 2 seconds. It's now down to 1.8.
Yeah, and that gap is going to probably come down at some point because the tyres will start to wear a little bit. And it also depends on how Packer can manage his tyres better than TTG Chris. So it is going to be interesting. OWR only got now 1 driver left, and the same for Ecos running in this race. 18 drivers left here. Obviously, Mr. Pop is still here. Well, is he or isn't he? Because we don't know if he is in the lobby because of his car being glitched. But all three safety car.
Safety car is deployed. For what, I'm not sure. But that's unfortunate for BNLR Dennis, who was really harrying the back of TTG Slash. So they'll be relieved in some ways. Ecos Saucy was right there too, but safety car is deployed.
Yeah, I think I know what might be the issue. Every time Mr. Pop pits, it's putting him back on the track, then it's putting him back into the pits, and then it's like glitching there. So yeah, he may just not want to be in the pits. I think that's what's caused maybe the safety car, because nobody DNF'd.
Krishki is in, Packer is carried on, Smalley is in as well, so interesting the split of the strategy here. Slash is in too. So, of course, tyre wind. There's a collision between Dennis and Slash. 5 seconds will have to be served. Fresh mediums, of course, the tyre rule no longer needs to be fulfilled, where you must use 2 different types of dry compound tyre. That all goes out the window once there is intermediate conditions in play. So in theory they can take these mediums then to the end. Just do medium.
We have an issue. I've just seen what's happened. Packer did overtake the safety car. I don't know if he was told to, but yeah, I think the lobby is completely
safety car is standing still.
Yeah, because Mr. Pop's car peeled off to the side where the safety car is. It basically, I think, has stopped the safety car moving. So then Packer's not realised, thought the safety car is going to immediately go when he is like gonna...
it's yellow. It's 5 second penalty central. QVR Brad, I think, slammed into the back of the safety car as well. He's out of the race. So not sure what the precedent is here, because again we're not in charge of deciding when the lobby is restarted or any of the such. but yeah, it's gone notably downhill. So 5 seconds. Let's just see how this. I mean, it's you don't. I mean, you could try and attach words to it, but I think the game is doing plenty of that for us instead.
Yeah, and it's giving a lot of 5-second penalties out, and it's going to be very hard to restart the lobby because 12 laps have been completed. So I don't know what the situation is going to be, but yeah, it's giving every driver 5-second penalties because the safety car is actually stuck at the middle of Sector 1. So anybody that passes it, I think, is going to get a 5-second penalty, and every lap they do is just going to, yeah, the safety car is stuck in the middle of the track.
Yeah.
How, yeah, I'm not going to think, because obviously I don't want to ruin anyone's reputation, but yeah, this game is, yeah, ceases to amaze.
Yeah, the other alternative I think could be I reckon you could do a 25% and set the grid from like the previous lap before the safety car came out. Would be my suggestion, but of course I don't have the call on it, so.
No, and also it is frustrating for the teams because their drivers practice for this. Like the week leading up, you know, you'll see the drivers practicing the Pacific track or whatever. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into this, and you know, you might be able to rerun it again or whatever, but you know, it's at the end of the day, it's up to what the game decides it wants to do. You know, if it doesn't want to play ball, then we ain't going to be having a race.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with it because I don't know what the story is going to be.
No, I think it'll have to go to the admins, I think. But yeah, it's a shame because it was getting up to be a nice, interesting race. You know, from the changeable conditions, but you know, it is unfortunate with the glitch and everything, but we will try and keep you updated as much as we can of what is going to happen from this absolute mess, because that's what it is, because you know, everyone's getting a 5-second penalty for purely absolutely doing nothing. You know, I know you can't overtake a safety car, obviously everybody knows that, but for the game to plant a safety car right in the middle of the track and not move, yeah, that's just an absolute mess.
If nothing else, it's interesting to see how many because this race is a write-off at this stage. But it's funny watching the penalties just gradually rise. Like BNL Dennis got 20 seconds here, and he cost Saucy up to 15, 18 for Slash. You know, it's amusing if nothing else. The solutions are being discussed, not by us, of course, but so I don't know what the precedent will be, what the story will be, but it was looking like a good race. But look, there's a lot of, because obviously Mr. Pop had to leave from his P3. You know, he's out of sync. There was a lot of unfortunates here. I don't know what the fairest solution will be. Safety car has at least moved to the Mistral Straight, so there is that, I suppose.
Yeah. The thing is, you know, obviously, the one person I feel for is Packer. He did absolutely nothing wrong. He thought the safety car was going to literally move, but it didn't, and it's DSQ'd him. You know, and that is, you know, that's criminal. You know, he's driven a perfect race so far, the 11 laps he's done, and yeah, the safety car has now moved and jumped to Sector 2. Wow, this game, I'm not gonna, you know, swear or anything because, you know, keeping it professional, but yeah, this game can, yeah. There's words that want to come out, but I shall not. Oh, the safety car is now doing the right thing.
Oh, it's moving.
Oh my! Oh yeah. This game just, yeah. There's words that I want to say, but I won't.
Regardless of the fact that it is actually working, I still imagine something will be either it'll be called off or a restart of sorts because, like you say, like obviously Packard's been disqualified. Both QBRs have been unjustly had. Well, I think Brad may have smashed into the back of the safety car. Didn't it? Certainly looked like that. So yeah. Well, again, we don't make the decision. So as soon as we know, we'll let you what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Regarding the sorry to interrupt you there. Regarding the penalties, the reason why the drivers are getting the 5-second penalties, it's not for the safety car. Mr. Pop's car is sitting off the track in out of turn 2 in sector 1, and because you're not allowed to overtake on the safety car, as we know. That's where they're getting the 5-second penalties from, because the game is thinking, oh, well, they're overtaking somebody on the track. That's how bleep this game is.
For me, Mr. Pop is just in the pits 6 laps down.
Yeah, for me, he's showing 2 laps on intermediates, but 6 laps down. He's out on
laps.
track. Yeah, but this game, yeah. There's words I would like to use, but I won't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and not a great night for racing either, because we all come here to watch, some of the best drivers from their esports teams, respectively, and this is what the people that come and watch and support whichever team they're part of, or they like the look of, whatever, for whatever reason, and they get treated to this. I know it happens maybe once in whatever, but it needs to be fixed.
How likely that will be, who knows?
Yeah, exactly. It might just be fixed by 2030. There is some hope. But, yeah. Also, a quick mention to whoever designs all these team liveries for their drivers, while we are waiting for a decision, fair play, and, to all the designs that these teams bring out. I know that the F1 game doesn't really offer that much on the livery editor, but some of these liveries are quite nice to look at on the track when they are going round at whatever speeds they are.
I mean, we have the time. Which any particular that
exactly
stand out?
I am partial to. Well, I'm 50-50. I like the NLR livery. I think it's it's bright, it's out there. You can see it. There was, I think, where is it? Also, I like the BNLR one. That's quite out there as well, representing the Dutch and the Belgium. A bit of Max Verstappen in there, as he is dual national citizenship of Belgium and the Dutch. Obviously, he uses the Dutch flag, as more penalties are coming in. I wouldn't mind. Well, so we can't see them on track now because obviously they're not here. But the QBR one looks quite nice. Dark colours, but it's just it looks very nice. It looks the finished product.
So confirmation that the race will be postponed. More information will follow, but it won't be restarted tonight. So
well, that's a bummer.
That is going to be that. And yeah, there were discussions on perhaps a 25% from with the order from lap 11, but that is sadly going to be ish. Well, I mean, I was going to say I'm just impressed that the likes of Smalley and Saucy and Red somehow don't have penalties with all of this.
Yeah, so with the race being abandoned, unfortunately, which is a bummer, as Pariah gets himself disqualified. If this race doesn't come at a later date, then we will be back in a month's time. Just under a month. On the 15th of December, and we are flying from France to Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix, which hopefully, fingers crossed, we all can hope will go ahead. But you have League One on at the moment, and I believe Premier will be starting at 8. Is it 8 or 8:30? With ESW Ivor, Bryn, Mike, and TTG James Head, and they'll be taking you through the action.
8:30.
Yeah, well, if you do want to actually watch a race this evening in EML, then they are the two that will be happening. Obviously, League One starting the same time as us, but unfortunately, this race will not be restarted and will be abandoned, and hopefully will be rescheduled at a later date.
Yeah, absolutely. I've dropped the League One link in the chat if you want to go see some racing. But yeah, that as Stormer said, that's going to be that. All the details for tonight he has just mentioned, as well as the next League 2 event. We'll see what happens if this one is rescheduled for a later date. But for now, that is going to do it. Thank you for watching, and apologies just to make sure. Yeah, thanks very much for watching, and until next time.